OK, let's talk more to Bridget Phillipson, Shadow Education Secretary. Should we? Good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for taking the time. Before we go anywhere else, let me ask you about MP Paul Scully saying that there are no-go zones in Tower Hamlets and also Spark Hill in Birmingham.
Well, what he said is completely unacceptable and wrong. My understanding is that he's stepped back from those remarks that he's made, if that's the case, and I think that's absolutely the right thing to do, because we don't need this kind of discourse in our politics, and it doesn't help the current situation that we're facing for politicians to ratchet up the rhetoric in that way.
Yeah, it comes hot on the heels of Lee Anderson, who's decided to double down on his comments. Your colleague yesterday, who I spoke to, said that his comments were racist. You would concur with that, would you?
I think the comments that we heard from Lee Anderson were racist and Islamophobic. They were highly offensive. What he's done in yesterday, as I understand it, is, as you say, to double down on those comments. It is completely unacceptable. He should know better than that. He has been a senior figure within the Conservative Party. But I think it also speaks to Rishi Sunak's weakness that his response on this has been wholly inadequate as well.
Well, although Rishi Sunak, straight back, you say that the Labour Party is saying that the government has a problem with Islamophobia. He's living proof that it doesn't.
Well, I think we want to see a diverse society in which people from all backgrounds can succeed. But if the Conservatives are not prepared to acknowledge the problem that's in front of them, then I don't see how action can follow from that. The first step in dealing with the problem is to acknowledge that there is a problem. If they're not prepared to accept that what Lee Anderson said is racist and Islamophobic, then that's pretty serious.
Do you not acknowledge, though, what the Prime Minister is saying, given that his ethnicity, it proves that the government isn't Islamophobic?
No, if you're not prepared to take action against someone very quickly and you're not prepared to condemn their comments in the way that the Prime Minister should have done pretty rapidly, then I just think it demonstrates to me, really, that Rishi Sunak is weak. And there's Liz Truss as well floating around the US spouting all kinds of conspiracy theories. Again, no action taken against her. Rishi Sunak is just in hock to this strange coalition of MPs in his own party. He's weak. He's not prepared to act. But I think that has wider consequences for all of us as a society if we're not clear about where there is a line, and that line should not be crossed.
Yesterday, your colleague said Liz Truss should be investigated for her comments in the United States. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rishi Sunak should take action against her. The comments again. I think they should suspend or remove the whip from Liz Truss. It's completely unacceptable what she's been getting up to and the kinds of nonsense she's been spouting, and that she's been allowed to do it unchecked. I mean, it's part of a wider pattern. This is the problem. This is not just one individual. This is a range of Conservative MPs, including the recent Prime Minister, who is allowed to get away with saying a whole range of things that are highly and deeply offensive, and no action is taken. And that is because Rishi Sunak is weak, he's in hock to his own party, and he's not prepared to do what's right by the country. Where we in the Labour Party have faced difficulties, Keir Starmer has taken action, he's turned the Labour Party around, and we're focused on the country. That's as it should be.
What were you particularly offended by with Liz Truss?
Well, there was a lot. The deep state nonsense, the way in which she talked about the individual. I think people, another kind of known right-wing individual that I don't particularly want to get involved in naming. And those kinds of comments off in the US doing all of this. I mean, she was recently a Prime Minister of our country. It's just incredible that we've got to this situation.
To be clear, she wasn't supporting Tommy Robinson. She just didn't step in when Steve Bannon had called him a hero. Talk to me about the growing scourge of misogyny in schools.
I'm deeply concerned about the rising levels of misogyny and sexism that we're seeing within our schools, the impact that has on young people, on school staff and teachers too, who can often be on the receiving end of unacceptable behaviour. And if I were Education Secretary, I'd be taking action to address this. So what we would be doing would be to make sure that we've got mentors within schools so that there are positive role models where young men can support other young men to be a part of that change. I don't think it can just be about the action that girls need to take. We would make sure that Ofsted are going into schools on an annual basis to look at measures such as this around safeguarding, because in recent Ofsted reports, this is rising up as an issue in terms of sexual harassment and other concerns. And alongside that, better mental health support in our schools too, and also action where it comes to what's going on online with the digital, on the digital side of things as well.
Where are we with Mr Speaker? He had a proper kicking last week. He's rejected the second SNP application for an emergency debate on a ceasefire in Gaza. Should such debate go ahead?
Well, there are a range of ways in which debates will happen within the Commons. It's for the Speaker to consider where he is concerned, the powers that are available to him. But let's be clear, we had an extensive debate last week in the Commons where a motion was passed that called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire alongside other measures such as the release of hostages that was put forward by the Labour Party. It's also my understanding that there will be a statement from the government today on Gaza, which is long overdue, but it's coming. So there are a range of ways in which members of Parliament can express their concerns, can hold ministers to account. But the SNP in particular are just playing games here, and it's too serious an issue for this kind of party politics from the Nats.
OK, what about the party politics from your own leader? Suggestions that when he went in to see the Speaker, he basically said, you let us have our amendment or you can't rely on the support of Labour come the next election.
So Keir Starmer has been clear that he made no suggestion of that kind, and I have seen no evidence to the contrary. It's no good Conservative MPs casting around, making accusations if they don't have the evidence to back it up. And it is for the Speaker to determine, in line with process, how he will respond to different events within Parliament.
I'm guessing there were just two people in the room, though, so we just have to take Sir Keir's word for it.
Well, I'm not sure exactly who was present, but I do take Keir Starmer's word for it. He is a man of integrity, and he has been absolutely clear that nothing untoward has gone on. It is right and proper that members of Parliament from right across the House, including the Leader of the Opposition, perhaps even the Prime Minister, had the opportunity to speak to the Speaker, to engage in wider discussion. I know the Speaker's door is always open to all members of Parliament to have private conversation. That is exactly
Might not be going forward.
No, I'm sure he would. No, I think the Speaker, in setting out his reasoning in terms of how he arrived at the decision last week, I think I think he's been candid and upfront and has acknowledged his regret about where events got to, which, let's be clear, was because the Conservative Party refused to take part in Labour Party's motion. So, you know, they've got some kind of responsibility in all of this as well.
Yeah, it might be because the Labour Party put forward a motion.
But absolutely, we will put forward motions. We will put forward our position in the House of Commons, and members of Parliament can decide how they want to vote. The Conservative Party, however, said they were having nothing to do with it and departed, and that was the cause of the problems that we saw in terms of what subsequently transpired around what could and couldn't be voted on. 80
MPs have now said that they don't support him. Can he carry on?
Yes, I think the Speaker is doing a very good job. I think he is seeking to navigate through a sensitive and difficult issue. I do believe he is sincere in his concerns about the safety of members of Parliament, and that is something, as a Speaker, he has been very, very keen to make sure he does everything he can. You know, we've lost colleagues in tragic and terrible circumstances. I do believe the Speaker is sincere in wanting to make sure that we do not see any kind of repeat of that, and also that the staff working in Parliament, there are thousands of people just across the road that work there every day, that they are kept safe and that they have a good working environment.
OK. Well, he was certainly sincere on Saturday night when he was supporting Wigan. Did you see the game?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Get it on catch-up. It was spectacular down to the last second. Good to see you.
Thank you very much
indeed.